Hi, my name is Sarah, and I'm going to be talking about Chapter 1. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the roots of philosophy. Most people would say that philosophy was born into the streets. It is not implied literally, but holds a deeper meaning. Philosophy was not meant for just those educated in schools, but rather for everyone. In Aristotle's Metaphysics, he states that philosophy begins with difficulties, and then the greater matter comes after. When it comes to urban American philosophy, no dimensions of society are left out. It mainly focuses on neglected populations and the issues they go through every day. The population that is the main focus is people of color. Although we have equal rights, there are still many issues with societies when it comes to race. A recent shift in philosophy can be seen. Elizabeth Anderson, Jason Stanley, and Shannon Sullivan's work portrays this shift about viewing certain issues that are otherwise ignored by higher-ranked philosophers. Life after World War II led to economic expansion. As a result of the GI Bill, home ownership, individual and family wealth increased. The suburbs were then created. Superhighways came into the picture in order to deal with traffic. They also helped to open space for railroads. After World War II, due to the economic increase, people can now afford to have children. This was also known as the age of the baby boomers. Due to the children all growing up at the same time, this led to college enrollments to be expanded. Due to good-paying job increasing, so did the middle class. Many more middle-class youths were now able to attend college. Although those who did not meet the proper parameters were not as fortunate. They could not send their children to college. They could not move to the suburbs and were forced out of their homes and had to live in public homes. Black Americans still suffered through segregation in the South. Those in the North endured racism. People of color were denied from moving into the suburbs. The culture of poverty soon emerged. There was an increase being made between the rich and the poor. There were racial disparities in wealth, jobs, and education. Due to living in these areas of poverty, behaviors emerged as a way of survival. People did what they had to do. They endured police harassment, racial stigmas, isolation from other populations, and a lack of economic capital. For example, if you have a black community that is excluded from the rest of the communities, they will act out. They will not follow laws made by a government that does not wish to help them. Plenty of new prisons were created to hold prisoners due to the war on drugs. This war on drugs was a way to target those abusing substances. In 1982, there was about 500,000 incarcerated. In 1990, it jumped to about 1 million. The shift in money went from education to now law enforcement for surveillance equipment and construction on the prisons. Most of the prisoners were African American. Police departments made drug arrests to guarantee future grant funds. The police department started to transform to a more military-like approach. The people living in these areas in the cities were subjected to surveillance 24/7, stop and frisks, and police brutality. These tactics created zones between the desirables and undesirables. In other words, this meant those who needed protection and those against whom protection was needed. In the end, urban philosophy has been a guideline to examine the issues going on with communities of color. The whole point of it is to learn from prior missteps and to bring back philosophy to the streets.